You're listening to Distraction Therapy. Conversations and sound walks at a time of change. With me, Rob Watson.
Okay, my name is Tina Barton and I wouldn't know how to describe myself, so I describe myself to different ways to different people. So when I'm speaking to some people, I will emphasise on my community engagement background and my ability of working with people. And then when I'm talking to kind of strategic level people, I will speak to them about my time spent in the corporate world or working with kind of directors and strategic decision makers. So I suppose over the last 25, 30 years, I've done an awful lot of stuff with lots of different kind of sectors. That's enabled me to be able to work with children and young people, communities, businesses, corporate businesses, and then charities and the voluntary sector as well. So a bit of a smorgasbord of... Today we are in the Chapel Café on Bishop Street, and we are supporting a new, I feel, much needed service. So at the moment we're helping Mahesh to scope out and carry out a mapping exercise of this new need, well, not a new need, because as you'll be well aware in the city, Rob, kind of over periods of time, different subjects and issues become the kind of hot topic. So I would say probably 12, 13 years ago, there was quite a bit of support and dedicated support services all across the city for men, and they've kind of almost ceased existence or have kind of reduced to very limited services. And obviously over the last 18 months to 2 years, there's been a real surge in need from the support that men are kind of seeking, and it don't seem to be there. So a couple of weeks ago, well actually longer than a couple of weeks ago, a few months ago, we sat down and we kind of decided to come up with a bit of a 3-month pilot, so forming of 3 elements. So one was a mapping exercise. So at the moment, myself and a few colleagues are working to build up a picture of what services and support are actually out there being delivered for men across the city. So we know that we've got lots of children's centres and lots of female kind of geared up projects and organisations that are doing fantastic work, but even those organisations are seeing that they're getting requests for support from male men, fathers, young boys, for a range of different reasons, and these are spanning from debt advice to employment advice to domestic violence, so a whole raft of kind of needs. So what we're working at the moment is building up a picture, contacting organisations, contacting former male dad support workers all across the city, and kind of building up a picture of what the current provision looks like. Running alongside that, we've got some fortnightly sessions happening here, so a free fortnightly drop-in for any male seeking support, seeking, you know, a bit of social interactivity. Here is the Chapel Café on Bishop Street. So yeah, we are running fortnightly drop-ins free from 10:30 to 12:30 for anybody to come and have a chat, have a coffee, kind of talk to a range of people about their needs, and then hopefully for them to start to get the support and guidance and kind of signposting that they need in order to get them on their journey of support. And then all of this is going to be brought together at the end of the 3 months, and we're going to do a 1-hour newsroom where we're going to share some of the findings from the mapping exercise, some of the obviously feedback from the conversations we've been having from men who have been coming in and kind of accessing the service. So quite an exciting time. And I know Mahesh from the New Hope CIC, Community Interest Company, that is, for anybody who doesn't know what a CIC is. And there seem to be words that are being used a lot more. So I think historically we've always looked at like charities and voluntary and community organisations, and community interest companies are just a new way to enable people to do socially impactful delivery within their organisations, but to generate income at the same time and put that back into the work that they carry out. So Hope CIC is a new organisation that's located on Bishop Street, just down the road from where we are today at the Chapel Café. And they are hoping to deliver a wealth of services and support, not just for men, but for families, women, children, not only just in Leicester, but in other areas of the world as well.
girl, look at me. I want you to try to tell me how you feel about me, babe. I want you to try to tell me how I do. Tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me, please tell me how I do.
You look so good, fantastic man.
In my varied career, there was a point where I was actually the parenting coordinator for the sitter. So at the time, we were commissioned to write the new parenting strategy for Leicester City Council. And I, as the parenting coordinator, we made a pot of, I think it was like £35,000 at the time available for lots and lots of parent groups across the city to kind of run mini consultations to kind of find out what parenting need and support was like. There were several key learnings from my role when I was the parenting coordinator. One was a very observational one. And because of my background, my mum was one of the founder members of Turning Point Women's Centre. So from a very early age, I seen what was capable of being achieved by women who came together. But I was very aware from a very early age too that there was a lack of services for men. And even though I grew up around lots of, I would say, strong women who were very good at advocating for other women and kind of, we're being recorded here, so I'm going to choose my words very, very carefully. So in a nutshell, through my time being a parenting coordinator, I realised that, there is a need for support for women. But that is not to say that men do not need that support as well. And I was absolutely shocked that back in 2008, 2009, and even now to some extent, a lot of those services are still geared up to support women. And a lot of the posts within these organisations are delivered by women who have their own experience, negative experience of men. So with that very thing in place, the men that I were meeting who needed support would not go into a Sure Start centre or not go into the services that were designed to support parents because of this instilled negativity and stereotyping of the way in which women who had been domestically abused by their partners were delivering services now to support those very people. there was very limited, I feel, groups at that time that were managed and geared up and totally 100% open to supporting the needs of men. And I still think it's a problem now. And I think this is because of a number of reasons. So historically, there's not been any qualifications so there's not any courses or qualifications historically for parent workers. There definitely wasn't back in 2008, 2007. So an awful lot of jobs that were there to support domestic violence were being targeted at women, and it was women delivering them, even though there's clearly a huge need to support men. And the number of men that I did meet that were on the receiving end of being in abusive relationships or not getting the support they need as a parent, getting access to their children, that kind of thing, they just did not know where to turn. Now, I know as a result of that, there were dedicated roles for men that were made available in the city. So there was a dedicated worker in Beaumont Leys. The Centre for Fun and Families had dedicated male workers. You know, there were a number of male workers attached to Shore Start centres for a number of years. And now they're just not there anymore. So it would seem to me that, again, the analogy of identifying a fire and then wanting to put the fire out by targeting the water at the root of the problem is not what happened. What happened was there was a fire and the water was just sprayed over the top just to kind of simmer it down, but the embers were still burning. And now it seems that that fire's just ignited again, and there's a real big need to support men in the city to be able to have the confidence to understand that, you know, there are services out there, and if there isn't, then actually they need to be part of the voice that, you know, makes that kind of support happen again. You know, I just wish sometimes men were a little bit more women-like when it came to talking about what they need and what they wanted.
Off the floor and drinking tea, but she don't love me, that's news to me. I met your daughter the other day, well that was weird. She had rhinoceros-shaped earrings in her ears. But hey man, have a soda, it's on the house. Remember what I told you about the rooms inside this house? But you don't love me, that's news to me. That's news to me. That's news to I think you and I could be in love. If you believe in yourself, free your soul. My heart's broken down, I don't know what to do.
I grew up in a house where, you know, my dad was very violent to my mum. I have memories of, you know, God, my dad throwing my mum outside naked and not letting her back in the house. You know, coming back from the pub at early hours in the morning, demanding that she made him a roast dinner. You know, and for years, until she met these other women and realised she wasn't the only person in this situation, for years she just felt, incapable of rising up and kind of standing up and empowering herself to change her life. But I did then see from an early age how all those negative stereotypes from females can then be cascaded down to their children. So, you know, it was very normal as a child to hear women in my mum's friendship circle, you know, insinuating that all men are bastards. You know, like, you know, men will never change their spots, you know, like, once they've hit someone, they'll always hit someone, that kind of thing. And as I've grown into my own kind of, as I've grown into an adult and realised, become a parent myself, that actually, no, not all men are bastards. You know, actually, there are some female pieces of work out there, and I've seen them in action, you know, and I think the support for men should be just as reflective of the support for women. There was a project that I worked on many years ago, which was around, I worked with 4 young boys through a sexual abuse project. And the boys were 11 to 14 years old. And when it was a media project and there was no kind of hidden agenda, it was very much like, right, what are the key messages you feel we should be getting out there about sexual abuse? And their big thing was that all the services and support out there to support young boys around sexual abuse were geared up to girls. So we did a fantastic project with them. We identified all the decision makers in the city, council, in the local authority and in the police, child protection units. And we got all their heads of services to be interviewed by these young boys, and they asked them questions on camera about their opinion about the design of services, how they feel they're geared towards females, why boys and males do not disclose or come forward as much as women do to talk about that kind of thing. And none of them actually knew that any of the young boys were actually victims of sexual abuse. And so they carried out, I think it was something like 12 or 14 interviews, and then brought all their evidence together, and they put an event on at the Phoenix called Listen to the Boys. And they had all of these heads of service and, you know, strategic decision makers in a room, and basically said, this is what we did, this is what we found out, and this is our story, and this is what happened to us. And literally, even now I feel quite emotional talking about it, but a lot of things changed as a result of that. So it made those people think about the way they promote services, the colours of which they put on branding, even something as silly as that, you know, how actually there shouldn't be segregated projects for boys and girls. The support should be unified so it gets the same amount of kind of attention and stuff like that. So for me, I do think in society anyway, women, you know, without a doubt, they're doers, but you know, and they're very good at articulating and making noise where it's needed. Whereas historically, it's just not the norm for men to be like that. And I suppose one of the biggest jobs is to actually normalise that and actually empower men to actually say, well, if you feel like that, we can do something about it. If that is your opinion, then let's get it out there. If that's your story, then let's enable people to listen to it. And I think the more men see other men doing that, it's that whole permission thing again, isn't it? It's almost like, oh, I never knew I was allowed to have my story printed, or I never knew I could make a little film, or people were actually interested in what's actually happened to me. And I think the more we do around that, and the more we normalise that it's okay for men to talk about their problems, access services, and actually be empowered to actually say, we need this service for us, or actually we want our own centre for men. I don't know of one men's centre in the whole of the city. And it's something I've been very aware of since the 80s when the Women's Centre set up. So, I think I've rambled a bit there, haven't I?
My name's Jed, and we are in a calf/church, I would say. Basically in school, we're not allowed to wear shorts. So me and a few other lads have put skirts on, and then we've tried to speak to the teachers about why we're not allowed to wear shorts and stuff. And then there was the deputy heads have pulled me out of lesson to talk to me about why we're trying to do this and stuff. And I was trying to explain why we should be allowed shorts, because when we had the hot weather, we was all dying from it, and we was just a lot of suffering from it because of how hot and sweaty we got. There was a day, the first really hot day we had, and we was all really warm and we started to sweat quite a lot. So we asked the teachers, are we allowed to wear shorts because of how hot it was? And they said, no, we're not allowed. So me and a few other boys made the decision, we'll wear a skirt then. So then we decided so I got my friend to bring me a skirt in for the next day. And then I wore that, and I just went around school all day with it on, and then I had my shorts on underneath. And then about 3 days later, more girls started bringing skirts in for other boys. And then we just had 5 or 6 of us with skirts on. And then there was the photos that we took to send to the head teacher, was me and 2 other boys wearing the skirts. And then we decided to write a letter to her because none of the teachers would properly listen, and they just weren't having any of it. But we do have a few teachers on board with it that are interested to hear more about it and to know what's going on and to keep them updated on it. So we were all wearing skirts, and then we just kept coming in skirts every day on the hot days. And then the head teacher replied yesterday and said next week that she wants to have a chat with me about it to try and sort something out. All of the students, they were all on board. There was a few teachers at first that were a bit yeah. And then some of them were straight on board, and some of them were just no. And then other times, the head teacher, she's interested to know more about it. My music teachers, they're interested to know about it. And then my head of year and tutor teacher, they're all interested to know about it, whereas some teachers are just a bit iffy. I would personally like them to not completely agree with us, but to compromise with us. We want shorts. They could compromise. If it gets to this certain amount of temperature throughout the week, then you'll have to bring your shorts in or get changed during school. Or they allow, because they said that it's hard to change the whole school policy for uniform because of the shorts. Whereas like in Asda, they have like grey shorts and black shorts that you're allowed to wear in primary school. So we want those kind of shorts, and hopefully we want them just to say you can wear them, but only when it gets to like this temperature throughout the week. The only thing that confuses me is that girls, they get like they get the skirts, and then they're allowed to wear trousers as well, whereas boys, they're only allowed to wear trousers. And the schools say they try to keep it gender neutral, like how we're allowed to wear the skirts, like they won't tell us to take them off. But I didn't understand it because girls wear shorts as well, and I know girls in the school that would wear the shorts if it got too hot. So we were just confused like, on that side of things as well. I'm actually getting quite a lot of respect from the other year groups, because I was going into PE one day and I saw one of my friends in year 7. So I said hi to him, and then as I was walking past, one of the girls goes, "Are you the boy that was wearing the skirt to school?" I went, "Yeah." She's like, "You got my respect for that." And then there was also like year 10s as well that were like coming up to me and saying, "Are you the one that wear the skirt to school?" And they all like really loved the idea of it. Where it's come from is not only the fact that I'm wearing a skirt in the school and I'm a boy, it's also that because we're not allowed to wear shorts, that they're seeing this as an opportunity to try and get something into school like shorts, and they're also like seeing it as like a new like thing to do to try and get the teachers to like get the shorts in and stuff. So when we join the school, so I got the green tie, and then from year 7 to year 11 we keep that green tie, and then it just goes like green, yellow, blue, red and purple, and that like you keep that tie all the way from year 7 to year 11, and then as soon as the year 11s leave, they get that tie. So when I leave, the new year 7s after I leave will get the green tie. And then the blazers, they're only allowing us to take them off during the hot periods, whereas like other than that you have to bring your blazer to school. And like trousers, they have to be black, they can't be skinny no more, so like tight fitted, they have to be baggy, and the same with skirts, they have to be below, like just above your knees, and other than that, they say it's important because like with the shoes as well, we're only allowed certain shoes, and they say they would rather do this because they don't want other kids who come from a poorer background, whereas the other kids that come from a richer background to wear like Gucci shoes, whereas the kids from a poorer background have like shoes from Clark's or something. My mum loves the idea, and like everyone that I've told about it loves it and thinks it's a great idea for us to do this, because not only will it get it into our school, but it also spread to other schools for them to then do the same thing and get shorts into their school as well, because there's quite a few schools that don't allow shorts anymore. I would like to see at least, I don't know, like 30-40% of schools around the country to have some form of shorts for the students. Maybe not other schools, but mostly our school. So then if we can do it, then it just shows other schools across the country can then do that as well. And then hopefully by then, everyone will be able to wear shorts.
My name is John Costa, and we're at the Chapel Café, run by the Zinfia Trust for the Male Support Service, run by the Hope CIC charity. The idea really was to investigate the opportunity to set up a male support service, a new male support service, but slightly differently, rather than one that was focused on offering a whole range of services to men, for whatever that was, ranging from being victims and survivors of domestic violence themselves through their marriage or a same-sex relationship, whether that's coming out of prison, whether that's addiction, or any kind of mental health issue, then there are people that run those services. And so as part of the exercise, it's threefold. One is to run these drop-in support services here at the cafe for 2 hours, every week for 2 weeks for 3 months, so there'll be six sessions. Alongside that, we're doing a mapping exercise to find out what support services are available for men, what they specifically deal with, and also what they don't deal with. Because certainly from my experience of running Citizens Eye in the past, you find that there's a lot of silos. So there's support for mental health, there's support for addiction, there's support for recovery. Sometimes they struggle to be able to offer connection. So you have these silos where you can get help, but you can't get help in a holistic way. So what we're hoping is at the end of the mapping exercise that's been done by my colleague Tina, is that we'll have a comprehensive list of what support services there are for men across all of those range of areas, but also we'll identify where the gaps are. So then we've got 3 months of evidence, 6 drop-in sessions with all of the evidence to then go after some funding, which we've been offered some funding to set up something, but now we're making sure that the evidence is there to demonstrate that we do actually need the funding to provide those services. So hopefully at the end of that, then we'll run a big newsroom, and we'll bring all the stats and statistics together, and then these sessions will either become weekly or fortnightly going forward. I'd like to think that after this pilot of 3 months, we'll do the next 3 months, we'll probably do one every week for sort of the 10 or 11 weeks that build up till Christmas. So then we've done them fortnightly for 3 months, then we've done them weekly for 3 months, and then we'll be able to find out when's the best time. The value of it is the fact that it's open, it's a neutral space, it's not run in a way where it's like a closed room. You know what I mean? So we're not going into a classroom environment that we might not be comfortable with. There's the informality of having other people around. Obviously, you've got to take into account confidentiality, but the informality of it. There's refreshments, obviously. Sometimes the 10:30 to 12:30 is a good time. It's not too early, but it's not too late that it eats into your afternoon. And I think it also allows you to identify where you are. So someone could come in here now looking like they're buying a cup of tea or coffee, almost be watching what we're doing, and maybe decided to come back in 2 weeks' time. There's no, I've arrived at the door, I have to ring a bell, I have to knock, I have to announce who I am. I think that's really important. That sort of the informal nature of it means that people then can get comfortable with who's around and approach you at the right time. It's really interesting, actually. All of the issues that we had, particularly last week, when we had several people came and filled the sort of forms out, saying like they'd like to, have conversations with Mahesh, who's in charge of the CIC, are all very much reflective of the world that we live in. Like I said, ranging from all the things I said earlier, particularly mental health, but also well-being. You know what I mean? And people dropping in, just talking about things that are important to them. What they'd like help with, what they'd like support with. And I think you can have all of those conversations that are needed around about the real important social issues. Online, yes, but sometimes it's nice to have that kind of conversation, talking about, what are your rights? How do you approach someone to turn around and say, well, look, I'm not looking for confrontation. I'm looking for a solution that everybody's going to be happy with. I'm not looking for you to lose face. I'm coming up with the fact that we're going to have this situation again. And I think that's, where's that compromise? We don't teach that in schools, and we don't learn it anywhere else, and we don't see it role modelled in a positive way on television. or in popular culture. So how would you even realise that there's your way, my way, but as for the right way, the only way and the correct way, that doesn't exist, because there's your way or my way. So we have to reach compromise if we're able to function. And of course, the dialogue that you can have dialogue around maybe a particular area of conflict that you are in. You know what I mean? That's not warfare conflict, but conflict as in a disagreement that you're trying to sort out. Well, actually, that conversation can improve your well-being. So then we're into well-being or mental health, because if you've got good well-being, then it will affect your mental health. You're in good mental health. And I think this is what people don't understand. And sometimes when you have support services and charities and organisations, that they will come at it from the point of view of, this is the service that we provide, but I can't talk to you about that. And you go, well, hang on, actually talking about that is the reason why I'm coming to your support service. And I think everybody has the ability to be a counsellor, and we forget about that, because being a good counsellor is listening and then be able to help people with the situation they're in. Well, I think the role model behaviour of men, which was always kind of like, not so much stiff upper lip, but you didn't talk about your feelings and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's about being tough, being the breadwinner and all that kind of stuff. My father's generation, really, you know what I mean? And you kind of cracked on with it. Is still prevalent, yeah. But also it's been replaced on social media in a very different way. So now it's not so much about being hard and tough. It's about representing yourself as physically fit. You know what I mean? The six-pack. Do you have a tattoo? Do you, body image and stuff like that. Whereas when you think about what the reality is well, you can be tough and cry. You know what I mean? It's what's the difference between crying at England winning or losing, or drawing, depending, being topical, just to date this conversation, or talking about your feelings and stuff like that. And I think we just need to understand that we need to be creating these spaces where not first every time you meet your mate, he kind of like is an emotional wreck because he's talking about how he's been crying about kittens, or his kids are upsetting him, or his wife's kidding. But it's just the fact that we need to understand that we only know if we're okay not by how we look or how we represent ourselves, but actually how we articulate. If we turn around and say, look, I'm not being funny, guys, I'm having a issue of it today, really. And you go, well, why is that? And you go, well, I can't go into the details, but this. And you go, well, do you know what? Yeah, great. And you have to kind of come in here and you have to present a certain way. You know what I mean? So if you go to school, your mates are expecting you to be on it. You know what I mean? And if you're on social media, everybody's happy. And it's I'm not being funny. I know you're in year 9 and you're 14. You're not in the Bahamas. You're walking through the High Cross and have found this really cool picture. And so we don't have that conversation about the fakery that's involved in social media. But that also means that some people aren't always having a good time because they're not able to differentiate between what is a good time and what's a bad time, and am I feeling bad or am I just feeling normal? Which is, I've had a tough week, or, it's been a long year, what the hell's going on with COVID? England drew, whatever it is, all of these things have impacts on people. Well, I think when I was at school, it was be seen, not heard. It was still that kind of comprehensive, we were in the first comprehensive year, so it was still that kind of grammar way of doing it, which is, get on. When I look back now, I just worked so hard at school, and I mean, what's the point? So I never went to university. I deliberately decided not to go to do university because of that. So I ended up working and travelling and doing all sorts of expeditions and stuff, and I've spent my life really, bankrupt twice, been to prison, been in the army, done all these things, been a freelance journalist, teacher at university, and thanks to you, it's your fault. All of these things, and what you realise is that you can have all of these qualifications and you can have all of these experiences and stuff, but you can draw and learn from those or not, and that will inform who you are today, or it won't. And I think what we tend to think about is that, if you've been on this pathway, this is where I should be. And if I'm not on that pathway, then I'm a failure. Or if I'm on that pathway, I've done all right. And if I'm ahead, then I'm a success. And you go, well, That's not what success is. That's not what failure is. Failure is if it's not worked and you're still in the game and then you've found a way that makes it work, or you've learned something. You know what I mean? And I think you can have all of these posters on Instagram with all these motivational quotes, but people don't really understand what they mean. And it's only when you've been knocked down and then when you get up again and you turn around and say, well, I can make the same mistake. Or do I change the way that I approach it and stuff like that, and get support and get help. And of course, asking for help, which is perfectly logical when you think about it. If you can't do something, if you can't fix this, you'd ask something. If you can't fix your car, you'd ask the mechanic. When you can't fix yourself, why wouldn't you ask someone for help? But why is that? No one goes into a garage and goes, I think my brakes are broke, mate. You're a failure. Can you imagine? It doesn't work like that, does it? So I think, we just need to get to the point now where we go back to dialogue is a good thing, and dialogue doesn't have to end in conflict.
You've been listening to Distraction Therapy with me, Rob Watson. Find out more at robwatsonmedia.net or follow me on Instagram and Twitter at RobWMedia.